My name is Esmeralda Sanchez Jackson, and the ICE tactical team kicked down my front door at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday morning while I was making coffee in my kitchen. The sound was explosive, wood splintering, hinges tearing from the frame, the crash of my door hitting the foyer wall hard enough to crack the drywall. Before I could process what was happening, 6 agents in full tactical gear flooded through my doorway, weapons drawn, voices screaming commands that overlapped into incomprehensible noise. Hands up, get on the ground, now, now, now. I was holding a coffee mug. Steam was still rising from it. I was wearing a robe over my pajamas, barefoot on my own kitchen tile, in my own home that I'd owned for 12 years. And 6 federal agents had just broken down my door like I was a cartel boss instead of a 48-year-old woman starting her morning. Training kicked in before conscious thought. I set the mug down slowly, raised my hands to shoulder height, and assessed the tactical situation with the cool analysis that comes from 26 years in the Army. 6 agents, all armed, scattered formation, high adrenaline, poor muzzle discipline. Whoever led this operation had prioritized aggression over professionalism. On the ground, face down, do it now. I didn't move to the floor. Not yet. First, I needed information. I'm a U.S. citizen in my own home. What's your legal basis for this entry? Get on the ground or we will put you on the ground. Show me the warrant. The lead agent, Ramirez on his tactical vest, moved closer, his weapon still raised. We have a federal warrant for this address. Get down now or you're obstructing. Show me the warrant first. My voice was steady, command level calm, the same tone I'd used to issue orders during 3 combat deployments. You just broke down my door. I have a right to see the legal justification. Ramirez gestured to one of his team who pulled out a folded document. He didn't hand it to me, just held it up from 6 feet away, too far for me to read details. All I could make out was federal warrant in large letters and an address that might have been mine. Satisfied? Now get on the floor. I can't read it from here. Bring it closer. You're not in a position to make demands. I'm in my own home. You broke in. You're holding weapons. I'm asking to see the legal basis for what looks a lot like a home invasion. I kept my hands visible, my posture non-threatening, but I didn't move to comply. Either show me a warrant I can actually read, or get out of my house. A younger agent shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Ramirez. The woman covering the back door lowered her weapon slightly, clearly questioning whether this operation was going as planned. Because it wasn't. I could see it in their faces. This wasn't what they'd been briefed for. They'd expected fight and compliance, maybe resistance they could overcome with violence. They hadn't expected calm analysis and constitutional questions. What they didn't know, what they couldn't have known because I was standing in my kitchen in a robe with coffee on the counter, was that the woman they just raided wasn't some undocumented worker they could terrorize into submission. I was Brigadier General Esmeralda Sanchez Jackson, United States Army, and they just made the biggest mistake of their careers. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To understand how 6 ICE agents ended up in my kitchen with weapons drawn, you need to understand how I ended up in San Antonio in the first place. I was born in El Paso to Mexican-American parents who'd lived in Texas for 3 generations. My father worked for the Postal Service. My mother was a teacher. We weren't wealthy, but we were stable. American in every legal and cultural sense, but always aware that to some people, our last name and brown skin meant we didn't quite belong. I joined the Army at 17 through early enlistment, driven by a recruiter's promise that service was the ultimate proof of citizenship. Did basic at Fort Jackson, excelled at everything they threw at me, got flagged for officer candidate school within 6 months. I commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant at 19, led my first platoon at 21, deployed to Desert Storm at 23, where I learned that competence mattered more than prejudice when bullets were flying. I climbed ranks through 2 decades of proving myself. Captain at 28, Major at 32, Lieutenant Colonel at 36, Colonel at 41, and last year, at 47, I pinned on my first star. Brigadier General Esmeralda Sanchez Jackson. 26 years of service, 3 combat deployments, a Silver Star from Iraq, command positions that proved leadership knew no gender or ethnicity. I'd earned my place at the table, proven myself 1,000 times over, become undeniably, unquestionably qualified. And now I was standing in my kitchen in San Antonio, hands raised, while ICE agents who had broken down my door screamed at me to get on the floor of my own home. The house was in Alamo Heights, an affluent neighborhood north of downtown San Antonio. I bought it after my promotion to colonel, a modest 3-bedroom with a yard where I could garden on weekends. My neighbors were doctors, lawyers, business owners, not exactly the demographic ICE usually rated. But my last name was Sanchez. And apparently, that was enough. Last warning. Ramirez moved closer, his patience clearly exhausted. Get on the ground, or we will force compliance. Force compliance for what crime? What's the basis for this warrant? That's not your concern. It's absolutely my concern when you break into my home at dawn with weapons drawn. He grabbed my arm, hard enough to bruise. I didn't resist. Resistance would give them legal cover. But I also didn't help, letting my weight go passive, forcing him to work for every inch. Stop resisting. I'm not resisting. I'm not complying with an unlawful order. There's a difference. 2 more agents moved in, grabbing my other arm, forcing me down. My knees hit the tile hard. I'd have bruises tomorrow. They twisted my arms behind my back, and I felt handcuffs bite into my wrists. Esmeralda Sanchez, Ramirez announced formally, you're being detained under suspicion of harboring undocumented individuals at this address. The absurdity would have been funny if it weren't so terrifying. Harboring? I live alone. We have intelligence that this address has been used to house multiple undocumented persons. Your intelligence is wrong. I'm the only person who lives here. I'm a U.S. citizen, and you just broke down my door based on bad information. We'll determine that after we search the premises. Show me the warrant. The actual warrant. Let me read what judge signed off on this raid. Ramirez pulled out the document again, this time holding it close enough for me to see. My blood ran cold as I read it. The warrant was for 4287 Divine Road. My address was 4278 Divine Road. They'd raided the wrong house. This says 4287, I said, my voice deadly calm. This is 4278. You're at the wrong address. Ramirez's face went pale. He grabbed the warrant, read it again, then looked at the numbers on my door visible through the shattered frame. No, we confirmed. Dispatch confirmed. Dispatch was wrong. You kicked down the wrong door. You assaulted a U.S. citizen in her own home based on a transposed address. The younger agent actually sat down on my couch, his head in his hands. The woman by the back door lowered her weapon completely, her expression showing she knew exactly how badly this had just gone. We need to verify, Ramirez started. Oh, we'll verify, but first you're going to uncuff me. Now. Ma'am, until we confirm. You confirm by looking at the numbers on my door and the numbers on your warrant. They don't match. You have no legal basis to detain me. Remove the cuffs. He hesitated, clearly calculating whether admitting the mistake immediately was worse than prolonging the illegal detention. Before he could decide, I heard the sound that would change everything. Sirens, multiple vehicles, the screech of tires in my driveway, car doors slamming, boots on my walkway, and then a voice I recognized, Sheriff Tom Castellano, whose department covered Alamo Heights, cutting through the chaos like a command. What the hell is going on here? Sheriff Castellano appeared in my broken doorway, 3 deputies behind him, all of them taking in the scene. Me on my knees in handcuffs, 6 ICE agents in tactical gear, my shattered door, the weapons still visible. "Sheriff, this is a federal operation," Ramirez started. "Federal operation? In my county? On whose authority?" Castellano's face was turning red. "Someone want to explain why General Jackson is handcuffed in her own kitchen?" The room went silent. Every ICE agent turned to look at Ramirez, who was now the color of old newspaper. "General," his voice cracked on the word. Castellano stepped closer, his hand resting on his own weapon. "You just raided the home of Brigadier General Esmeralda Sanchez Jackson, commanding officer of the 5th Armored Brigade at Fort Sam Houston. On whose authority, and with what warrant?" There was intelligence. We had a warrant for..." Ramirez was fumbling with the papers, his hands shaking now. "For what address?" 4287 Divine Road. "This is 4278. Castellano's voice carried enough fury to make the deputies take a step back. "You raided the wrong house. You broke down a general's door, put her in handcuffs, and held her at gunpoint based on a wrong address." The younger agent was now standing, trying to blend into the wall. The woman by the back door had actually holstered her weapon and removed her tactical vest, as if shedding the uniform might somehow distance her from this disaster. "Get those cuffs off her," Castellano ordered. Ramirez moved to comply, his hands fumbling with the keys. When the cuffs came off, I stood slowly, rubbing my wrists where the metal had bitten, assessing the room with fresh eyes. 6 ICE agents who just realized their careers were over. 3 sheriff's deputies documenting everything with body cameras. My broken door, my damaged walls, my violated home. And Sheriff Castellano, who'd served under me 15 years ago when he was a military police sergeant at Fort Hood, looking like he wanted to arrest every federal agent in the room. "General," he said, his voice gentler now. "Are you injured?" "Bruised. Nothing serious." I looked at Ramirez. "But my house is damaged. My sense of security is violated. And 6 federal agents just committed breaking and entering, assault, and false imprisonment." "We had a warrant," Ramirez tried weakly, "for a different address, which makes this illegal entry. Which makes everything that followed fruit of a poisoned tree." I picked up my coffee mug, miraculously unbroken despite the chaos. "Sheriff, I want every agent's badge number. I want body camera footage from your deputies, and I want an immediate investigation into how this happened." "Already in progress, ma'am." Castellano gestured to his deputies, who began documenting the scene with phones and notepads. "ICE, you're all staying put until we sort this out." "You don't have authority over federal agents," Ramirez protested. "I have authority over anyone who commits crimes in my county. And breaking and entering is a crime, federal badge or not." Ramirez looked around desperately for support. His team avoided eye contact. They knew the truth as well as he did. They'd screwed up catastrophically, and there was no walking it back. My phone, sitting on the kitchen counter, had been buzzing throughout the chaos. I picked it up now, saw 17 missed calls. My aide-de-camp at Fort Sam Houston, my division commander, the base provost marshal. Word had already spread. I called my aide first. "Captain Morris, I'm fine, but I need you to contact JAG immediately. ICE just raided my home on a wrong address warrant. I want full legal action." "Ma'am, the post commander is already aware. He's contacted Army CID and the Inspector General's office. And ma'am," Morris paused, "the media is calling. Someone filmed the raid and it's already online." Of course it was. My neighbor across the street, Mrs. Chen, was an early riser who'd probably caught the whole thing on her Ring doorbell camera. Bless her. "Tell Public Affairs I'll make a statement once I've consulted with JAG. And Captain, call a contractor." I hung up and turned to Ramirez, who was now sitting on my couch, looking like a man watching his pension evaporate. "Agent Ramirez, I need your supervisor's contact information. And I need the name of whoever conducted your intelligence briefing. General, this was a mistake. We didn't know. You didn't know because you didn't verify. You acted on bad intelligence, failed to confirm the address, and conducted a dynamic entry raid on a residential home without bothering to check if you had the right house. I kept my voice level, factual. That's not a mistake. That's negligence. Sheriff Castellano was on his own phone now, speaking in low tones. When he hung up, his expression was grim. General, the actual 4287 Divine Road, the address on the warrant, it's an abandoned building, has been for 2 years. The intelligence about harboring undocumented persons came from an anonymous tip that didn't even bother to check if the address was occupied. Anonymous tip. I let the words hang. So you conducted a dawn raid with a tactical team based on uncorroborated information from an unknown source, didn't verify the tip, didn't surveil the location, and didn't confirm the address before breaking down my door. Ramirez had no answer. The room was silent, except for the deputy's pens scratching on notepads. The younger agent finally spoke up, his voice shaking. I tried to tell them we should verify the address. I said the neighborhood didn't match the intelligence profile, but I'm junior, and they said we were moving on the warrant regardless. Ramirez's head snapped toward him. Chen, shut up. No, Chen stood straighter. I'm not taking the fall for this. I raised concerns and was overruled. That's going in my statement. I looked at Chen, saw a young agent who still had a conscience, trying to survive in a system that rewarded aggression over caution. Agent Chen, I appreciate your honesty. Make sure it goes into the official report. By noon, my house was a crime scene, not because I'd committed a crime, but because 6 federal agents had. Sheriff's deputies photographed everything. County investigators documented the broken door, the damaged walls, the coffee that had spilled when Ramirez grabbed me. My aide arrived with a JAG officer, a stern woman named Major Patricia Reeves, who took one look at the scene and actually smiled. General, this is the most clear-cut case of illegal entry I've seen in 15 years. We're going to destroy them. I don't want destruction. I want accountability. You'll get both. Reeves pulled out her tablet, already taking notes. Sheriff Castellano's body camera footage is gold. Shows the wrong address, shows you in handcuffs in your own home, shows Ramirez admitting the mistake. Add that to the Ring doorbell footage from your neighbor, and we have this raid documented from multiple angles. By evening, the story had gone national. Army General's home raided by ICE on wrong address. Video of the raid, my shattered door, agents storming in, me being handcuffed, played on loop across news channels. The optics were devastating for ICE. A Latina general, a war hero with a silver star, detained in her own home by federal agents who couldn't be bothered to verify an address. The narrative practically wrote itself. ICE's Public Affairs Office issued a statement calling it an unfortunate miscommunication. My JAG officer responded with a statement calling it criminal negligence and civil rights violations. Congress noticed. Within 48 hours, 3 separate committees announced investigations into ICE raid procedures. The House Armed Services Committee demanded answers about why a general officer had been assaulted in her home. Ramirez was suspended pending investigation. His team was reassigned to desk duty. The San Antonio field office supervisor was placed on administrative leave. But the real accountability came from an unexpected source. Agent Chen, the junior officer who tried to raise concerns, filed a whistleblower complaint detailing a pattern of sloppy operations, unverified intelligence, and raids conducted more for statistics than actual enforcement. His complaint opened a floodgate. Other agents came forward. Stories of wrong addresses, mistaken identities, raids conducted on hunches rather than evidence. A systemic pattern of prioritizing raid numbers over accuracy. The Department of Homeland Security Inspector General launched a full investigation. What they found was damning. Dozens of wrong address raids across the country. hundreds of civil rights violations, a culture that rewarded aggressive action over careful verification. Policy changes came. New verification requirements before tactical raids, mandatory surveillance of locations, independent review of intelligence, body cameras required for all entries. Not enough, but something. Ramirez tried to sue me for interfering with federal operations by refusing to comply immediately. His case was laughed out of court when the judge watched the body camera footage showing me calmly asking to see a warrant while handcuffed on my own kitchen floor. Last I heard, he was working private security somewhere in Houston. Still bitter, still convinced he'd done nothing wrong. My door was replaced within 24 hours, reinforced steel this time, with a security system that would make Fort Knox jealous. My neighbors organized a watch program. Mrs. Chen's ring footage became the most viewed doorbell video in San Antonio history. I testified before Congress 2 months later, sat in a hearing room in my service uniform, with my silver star and combat ribbons visible, and told representatives exactly what it felt like to be detained in my own home by agents who'd failed to verify basic facts. I've served this country for 26 years, I told them. I've led soldiers through combat. I've made decisions under fire that saved American lives. And 6 ICE agents broke down my door, put me in handcuffs, and held me at gunpoint because they couldn't be bothered to check if they had the right address. Some representatives apologized. Some made excuses about operational challenges. Some suggested I should have complied immediately to avoid the confrontation. So I asked them, at what point does my service earn me the right to demand a warrant in my own home? After 10 years? 20? Would you tell a male general to stop asking questions and get on the floor? Or is that advice reserved for Latino women who don't look like your idea of a general? The room went quiet. Changes came. Not perfect, not complete. But the San Antonio raid became a case study in what not to do. Training academies used it as an example of how confirmation bias and sloppy intelligence can destroy lives. Agent Chen received commendation for his whistleblower complaint. Last I heard, he'd transferred to the investigative division, where his attention to detail was actually valued. My house was eventually resold when I transferred to the Pentagon for a staff position. But I kept the reinforced door, mounted it in my new home's garage as a reminder. Not a reminder of victimhood, a reminder that rank, service, and citizenship don't protect you from systemic failures, that badges can be weapons in the wrong hands, that the only thing standing between legal authority and illegal abuse is people willing to ask questions, even when ordered to stop asking. My name is Esmeralda Sanchez Jackson. I'm a brigadier general in the United States Army with 26 years of service, and I learned that constitutional rights require constant defense, not just in courtrooms and Congress, but in kitchens and living rooms when armed agents kick down your door. They'll always assume authority justifies action, that urgency excuses verification, that compliance is mandatory regardless of accuracy, right up until a sheriff arrives and asks why they just raided a general's house. And sometimes, that moment goes viral enough to change policy. Not perfectly, not permanently, but enough that the next general, or the next citizen in the wrong house, might not wake up to splintered doors and weapons in their face. That's not victory, but it's something. And sometimes, something is all you get before you reinforce your door and keep serving a country that still hasn't quite figured out who belongs.